everyone, and welcome to Yoga Eat Love. I'm your guide, Sabrina. Let's practice peace, presence, and embodied alignment together. Because feeling complete is about so much more than what you eat. This channel is a sacred space to slow down, tune into your energy, and live in alignment with your true nature. Here you'll find introductory Himalayan Kundalini yoga practices, wisdom, meditations, kriya, mantra, pranayama, and soulful lessons, and podcast style reflections like this one to support your peace, clarity, and nervous system balance. And it's my intention that each offering shared here be guided by the wisdom of the body, the rhythms of nature, and the understanding that you are not here to force, only to flow. So if you're craving a softer, more intuitive way to live, eat, move, rest, and reconnect, you're in the right place. Subscribe and practice with me, and let's return to your natural rhythm and light you up from the inside out, one breath, one nugget of wisdom at a time. Hello, loves. Welcome to today's episode. I'm Sabrina. So today we're going to talk about embodied alignment and integration. And these are probably one of my favorite topics, although you'll hear me say that a lot. But these two things are really the missing pieces. So if you've ever felt like there was something missing in your life, right? Have you ever felt that? Like maybe you had it all, everything looked good on the outside, or you were quote unquote living the dream, but you still felt like something was slightly off. And it doesn't have to be necessarily in a dramatic way, although it can show up in a dramatic way. It can also be this like quiet, persistent sense that something's missing and something big. Like there's something more that you want out of life, or there's this sense of lack, or like not being satisfied. So I spent years chasing the dream, right? But what that dream was, I don't think I even knew, but I was in this constant chase of something. Was it love? Was it happiness? Was it belonging? Was it this sense of satisfaction? Was it joy? Was it fulfillment? Was it adventure? Was it meaning? Was it purpose? It changed. It was like all of these things and everything all at once. And I don't think I realized it at the time, but I had this cycle of thought. And I find this really present for many of my clients, most of my clients and friends and family. There's this, I'll be happy when, dictating life, right? Like when I have a better job or make the right career move, then I'll be happy. Or maybe for me, this was a big one, when I live somewhere else, like in Florida where it's sunny, or in Italy where I feel connected to my people, or in Costa Rica where the jungle and Pura Vida live, or in California, right? Like, or I want to be somewhere else. I want to live somewhere else. That was a big one for me. When I find my Prince Charming, also huge. When I have a family, then I'll be happy. When I buy this house, then I'll be happy. When I can buy my dream car, then I'll be happy. When I finish this shift and I can finally relax and have a drink, then I'll be happy. When tomorrow comes and I can sleep in, when I can sell my company. I mean, it's endless. It goes on and on. When I get that new shiny thing. I was in this constant chase mode. So I'm speaking about this from a very personal level. And side note, only now with human design do I actually understand that this was my path. It was my path and part of my design to experience all these things so that I could bring the wisdom of the experience and the clarity of the experience to you. Mind blow. for me. I wish I had known that sooner, but that doesn't devalue all of this stuff, right? It doesn't mean that just because it was my experience to have to experience all the things, that there's not something in here, right? If we're relying on or putting all of our hopes and dreams and happiness and love and fulfillment on gaining something outside of ourselves, right? Getting that job, career, moving, having a husband, a child, even the small things like going on that vacation, like, oh, if I could just go away, right? It's compounding, right? This chasing the dream, this chasing something. It's this sense of lack inside us, like we're missing something. And then, so let's just bring this into reality, right? Like, let's say you got that job, or you moved to that place, or you met that Prince Charming, you had the child, you finished the work week, you got to have that drink. And that satisfaction and that joy and that fulfillment may have lasted for a minute or two or 10 or 20 or more. But what happens is that the newness of that thing fades. We normalize it in our bodies and in our nervous system. It becomes normal, but we're still wired in that chase mechanism, and we want the next thing. We want more. And even self-improvement can become a chase. My hand is raising high here. I studied philosophy. I surrounded myself with books about the mystical traditions, native cultures, and esoteric and Eastern traditions. I was practicing yoga very, very intensely and consistently. I loved it so much, I had to do a teacher training, right? And then I was teaching yoga. Like, I was deeply entrenched in what I thought yoga was. And we'll come back to this in a minute. But my practice at the time was entirely posture based back then. It was all in asana. But I was still chasing something, right? I would be in a vinyasa, teaching vinyasa, and I would feel great in the class. And then shortly thereafter, not so much, right? I couldn't sustain it. This was something big for me too. I started running in my late 20s, and the same cycle of thought, like, I'll be happy when I'm skinnier. I'll be happy when I lose more weight. I'll be happy when I prove to myself that I can run a marathon. I'll be happy when I prove to myself that I can do a triathlon. I'll be happy with myself when I can conquer trails and do an ultra. Like, it's this constant cycle. And now my examples are very personal for me. You might have different ones, but you hear what I'm saying, right? Like, it's real. I hear it all the time from people, from my clients, from friends, from family. I almost want to say it's part of the, like, American dream, right? We have this constant searching for more. But what's actually going on is that there's this insecurity in the nervous system, right? We're placing our joy and our happiness and our love and everything outside of ourselves on often material things that can't possibly fill that missing piece. And our nervous systems end up getting wired to that, where we're staying in this high alert seeking mode, and we never actually feel safe enough to relax. We never actually feel calm enough, long enough to receive all of the satisfaction and fulfillment. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about what's missing is it's actually this embodied alignment. And what does that mean? So once our basic needs are met, right? What are our basic needs? Food, water, and shelter. You can think about Naked and Afraid, right? Once they have food, water, and shelter, they're okay, somewhat, right? So once we have those three things, and we still feel like something is missing, that's when it's time to dive into the body. And it's inside this incredible human body, this incredibly sophisticated and complicated organism that we get to live in. See, the problem is we just haven't been taught how to access that. And we don't need more information. Lord knows, we have plenty of information in this information age. We have all of the information of the world and history at our fingertips. We don't need more information. We don't need more posts. We don't need more blogs. We don't need more reels. We need action in our bodies. That's really the key. It's action in our bodies. It's this embodiment. But we need to be taught how to do that. And the Kundalini tradition that I largely teach, it's Kriya and integration. So Kriya, okay, if you've never heard of Kriya, it's a part of yoga. It's a tool or a technique of yoga that translates from the Sanskrit into evolutionary action. And what it is really are specific sequences of movements and breath combined. Sometimes it's with mantra. It's a combination of movement and breath, let's just say that, and vocal activation as well. Specific sequences that change the DNA in the cells, right? They actually change the biocellular memory. They create change in the body. Amazing. And when we practice these techniques, we start to actually feel this peace and love and happiness and meaning and fulfillment in our bodies. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about embodied alignment, is when you actually feel this change inside your body, and not just talking about it intellectually, right? But you're experiencing it through the nervous system, through the tissues and the breath and the cells. Right, really starting to feel it, not just think it and talk about it, where it actually becomes part of your body. It becomes who you are. So I like to think of this in a food reference, of course, because I relate everything to food. So your grandmother, or at least my grandmother, always said, like, you are what you eat. Right, so think about food itself. You take a bite of food, you chew it, you eat it, you swallow it, and it goes into your stomach and your intestines, and all of the nutrients and everything in that bite of food get pulled out and into your organs and distributed throughout the body. So what you're eating actually becomes your cells. And your practice, your yoga practice, is the same thing, right? So your practice becomes who you are on a cellular level, what you're taking in through practice. Your breath, your movement shapes how you experience the world, how you experience yourself on a cellular level, right? Might be a little deep and esoteric for some of you, but if you've practiced with me, you kind of are getting what I'm saying, right? And this embodied alignment is really not about posture. A lot of people in the yoga world, when they say alignment, they're speaking specifically about postures. And I want to clarify that's not what I'm talking about. And actually, you'll find in my teachings and my trainings that I do not focus on where your foot really needs to be and your knee and your hip has to be stacked just so, and all of that. This is more about your true alignment, your alignment with yourself, your truest nature of who you are on the inside, alignment with nature and its rhythms, alignment with your own nervous system and your capacity for safety, presence, and regulation. because the change really happens in the body, embodiment, inside the body, becoming you. And not just in conversation in the mind, where the mind can like spin it all and be like, oh yeah, I get that. I get that. It stays on a very superficial level. It's not until we actually experience it in our body that it becomes who we are. Now, I'm not discrediting the conversation of having that awareness, because awareness really is the first step. Right? We have to be aware and have a bit of a mindset shift before we're going to actually do any of these practices. You have to be mindful enough. You have to have it in your head, in your mind space, as a thought, as something that you want to shift within yourself before you're going to actually do the practice. So awareness is really the first step. Second step, embodiment. Right? Where it moves from the brain into your nervous system, into your sensory experience, and into the cells of the body. Because we really can't think our way into peace, or we can't think our way into love. I'm sure you've tried. I certainly have. And it just doesn't work that way. It has to come from the body. We have to feel it. We can't mindset our way into regulation either. We have to do certain things in our body to regulate our nervous systems. Because the body and the nervous system learns through feeling and experience, not through logic. Right? We don't think our way out. We have to feel our way in and through. And how we do that is through action, like pranayama and kriya, and these brilliant tools of the yogic tradition. And this is why I teach what I teach. This is why the yoga that I teach looks very different from a lot of the yoga that is most common in studios and retreats, and even a lot of the apps that are out there. Most of the yoga out there is asana based, and asana is wonderful. I love it. It is a fabulous way to get into the body. But without pranayama and kriya and mantra and these aspects and tools of the Kundalini tradition, this yoga of action, are we really able to start to ground ourselves in a more meaningful way? Are we able to move the subtle energy that exists within the body? Are we able to really calm our nervous system in an embodied way that's aligned with who we are, right? Not just going to a yoga class or going to the gym or going to a Pilates class. Like, I'm not a fitness instructor. I never wanted to be. I never will be. You know, the yoga I teach is deeper than that. It's broader than that. It's bigger than that. You know, I like to share these teachings that have dramatically changed my life and more of a spiritual mentor and coach than a fitness instructor. Right? This is not about gaining muscle and strength. This yoga is about feeling strong and activating that clarity and that wisdom from within. Right? Now, some of the practices that you'll find, like in Yoga Soul Rising membership, and some of the practices that I lead will feel very strong and activating and challenging. And then some will feel more gentle and calm. But it's really about working with those deeper layers of the body. In yoga, we call them the koshas, all 5 koshas, from the organs to the flesh and nervous system to the more subtle body, the energetic body, the chakras, and the spiritual body and beyond. And we'll talk more about that maybe in a future episode. I know I just dropped a big one, the koshas. If you're not familiar with them, let's just pin that for now, and we'll come back to the koshas later. But in the yogic tradition, there are layers of the body. not just the organ and fleshy layer. There are multiple layers that radiate outwards from the inside out. And so that's what these practices and these teachings really start to connect with. So you can come home to yourself in a really meaningful way. And again, this is why I share what I share, because it wasn't until I started doing these practices regularly that my life changed, that I got out of this cycle with I'll be happy when, right? I stopped chasing the dream. I realized I was the dream, right? And that's why I teach this. It's why I want this for you. I want this for the world. It's bigger than you and me, but it has to start on an individual level. We can't just tell people how they need to behave or how we think they should act. We have to feel that peace and contentment within ourselves first, and then that will naturally exude. That state of happiness and joy will just begin to seep into our relationships with our loved ones. We have to feel it first. It'll start to seep into everyone we encounter when we feel it. And with consistent practice, it starts to radiate more and more and more. And soon, those tiny ripples that began with a short guided meditation that you did with me on YouTube turns into this giant wave of peace and love and unity. And the collective starts to shift, not only making our lives better, but ultimately making the entire world better, a better place to be, a better place to live that's more in harmony. Yeah. Sorry, I just went on a little bit of a tangent there, but this is like a big why for me, and it's a real personal truth. And this is why I continue to do what I do and lead and teach and share, because this is bigger than me. But we have to experience it on an individual level first, and we have to get into that embodied alignment first before the rest of that happens, right? And we are living in kind of a crazy time right now. There's a lot of shit going on. And I shy away from talking about politics because I really think that it draws us away from this unity consciousness, but I will just say this. I think we're getting to witness a collapse of the old and the rise of the new. This is a new paradigm that we're shifting into, one that is more open, more receptive, more understanding, and beyond this idea of tolerance, but truly accepting of others and our diversity and how we're actually really more similar than we are different. And this is that unity consciousness. This is yoga, right? It's happening right before our eyes. Like, what an incredible time to be alive. I feel so blessed that I get to be in this body, that I get to share this incredible wisdom and these powerful tools with you all. And that I get to be part of this like gentle disruption that like maybe the West got yoga a little wrong. Yeah. Right? Like yoga's been largely reduced to a sweaty workout in expensive designer outfits, and the yoga is so much more than that. And if that's all you want yoga to be, that's fine. Totally okay. I'm probably not your teacher. You probably aren't even listening to this episode, but all fine and good. But yoga is this incredible technology. It's like this manual for embodiment and regulation and remembrance of who we truly are. It's about feeling yourself as part of the whole, as one with the whole, that yoke between yourself and something greater. The polarity that exists within us, the paradox within us, that stillness and dynamic as one, the Shiva and Shakti, the masculine and the feminine uniting together in the body, in our energy. That's also the infinite, the universe, the divine, God, call it what you want. It's all one. So obviously I can I could go on and on and on about this, but this is really powerful and big wisdom to share. And my heart starts to pound intensely when we talk about these things. So, this idea of embodied alignment. Now, I want to add to this, right? This state of unity consciousness. Let's bring it back into our body because it can get big and really expansive. So, let's just bring it home a minute and bring it back into our body. So, it's not until we feel it in our body that shifts can occur, right? Through practice, through the yoga of action, through these techniques that I teach. Now, the other key piece to this is integration. And what am I talking about when I say integration? So it's when these practices become part of you in the body, you feel it, right? And then they actually become who you are. So I want to ask, and really, this is why I still focus on teaching. Actually, I'm jumping ahead. Hold that. I'm going to go back. All right. So let's start with asking the question, how many of you have had an incredible yoga experience, either in your local studio or on retreat somewhere, and you felt like amazing, like, oh my God, this is so good, right? You're feeling it in your body, right? This is, wow, I can't believe how good I feel. This is the bliss state they're talking about, right? And then you get in your car and somebody cuts you off and your nervous system spikes and you're like, F you, motherfucker, right? That's the fight response of the nervous system. You like lost immediately all of that bliss state that you just had. And like, it's gone. That's it. It's over. Or how about, here's another example that happened to me pretty often when I lived in New York City. I would go to a fabulous vinyasa class. It was awesome, where we were like mat to mat and everybody was sweating and moving and breathing together, these fabulous classes in the city. They were amazing. I'd have go have sushi with friends after, and then I'd get on the subway and see like a homeless man masturbating on the platform. And poof, in an instant, again, nervous system spiked, and I wanted to get the hell out of there so fast, and it made me so uncomfortable, and I was just like, gone in an instant. All of that love that I was feeling in my body was gone. Or here's another one. If you've ever been on a retreat, this was big for me too. I used to go on retreats regularly. I would feel so expanded and so open, and then I'd come home and go back to work and life would hit. And it so quickly would feel so far away. Like it was gone immediately. I couldn't hang on to it. It didn't stick. That feeling, that bliss state, that joy, that happiness. It was gone so fast. I was like, reason being, it wasn't being integrated into my body. I felt it in my body, so that's the embodiment, but it wasn't integrated. And this, so cueing back to what I sort of started saying before, this integration is really key to embodied alignment. So to have sustainable change and results, to hang on to that feeling, we need integration in our lives. And this is why I still focused on teaching online as much as I do, even after COVID. I could go to a studio and teach, but I don't, because the real integration, the real embodied alignment happens when you bring these teachings into your own home. That's why I created Yoga Soul Rising Studio, the membership, where you have access to all of these practices in your home, right? Because this embodiment comes with practice, but it doesn't stick without integration. And that happens at home. It doesn't happen in a studio that's outside of you. It doesn't happen on retreat. That's outside of you. It doesn't happen in a once a week drop-in class that's outside of the house. It becomes fleeting. But when you bring it into your home, this magic that you create starts to live in the house. It lives where you live. It starts to live in the body. And that's where the magic unfolds exponentially. So with this consistent home practice, these shifts become real and they become who you are instead of something you do, instead of something you chase. Like I was talking about in the beginning of the episode, that constant chase and seeking mode. And we have to be calm enough in our nervous system for all the practices that we're doing, all the things that we're doing, to actually land, to actually receive them. We have to calm and regulate our nervous system first. This is something that comes up with every single client that I work with almost every single member in Yoga Soul Rising. This is something, the first thing that I teach with my clients, and it's really common for everybody, especially in this crazy modern world that we live in with all of these distractions, and we're so dysregulated. This modern life is so dysregulating. So the first thing we need to do is to learn how to calm our nervous system. And this is how we're able to learn safety and come back into that calm state where that regulated system becomes your baseline instead of survival mode and fight or flight, right? It's how all of these practices that you do can actually take shape and take form, because maybe you've been doing all of these things, right? But you still feel like something's missing. It's because you haven't regulated your nervous system first. Maybe you're doing all these things, all of these self-improvement classes and courses, and you're trying to eat right and, da 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 da, and you're still overwhelmed and you're still like a little bit of a hot mess, and you like just can't seem to get your shit together, or maybe you still feel like lost or without meaning or purpose. There's a lot going on here. Our systems are really nuanced, but if we haven't regulated our nervous system, right, even our digestion doesn't work right. We can't sleep right. So the first thing that we need to do is regulate our nervous system and learn how to do this into ourselves. And then all of this embodied alignment and integration becomes sustainable. So we can live with greater clarity and more meaning and a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment and all of this stuff that I talk about all the time. If we don't first regulate our nervous system, none of the other stuff is going to work. So what I wanted to do and what I feel called to do right now, and I mentioned this in a couple of other episodes, is that I want to share with you exactly how to do that. So I've put together, and I'm putting together, a nervous system mastery workshop. And in this workshop, we're going to dive into the nervous system on a deeper level. You'll learn more about the parasympathetic, the sympathetic, and vagus nerve. And not just these like hot topic points, but you'll really start to get a deeper understanding of how they work in the body and how they make you feel, and how a dysregulated nervous system might actually be the core of what's really missing. That we're stuck, and it's not your fault, right? Our nervous system's kind of out of date and we need an upgrade. So we're stuck in this like rushing and bracing and gripping and seeking and protecting. And it's like impossible to feel peace, clarity, and fulfillment when we feel like that all the time. We're not sleeping right. Our digestion is messed up. We feel overwhelmed or wired and tired all the time. Like a lot of this has to do with a dysregulated nervous system. And so in the workshop, we're going to dive deeper into that. And so you'll have a deeper understanding and maybe understand and discover within yourself, like, oh, maybe this is why all of the things that I'm doing aren't working, right? Like my nervous system is a little bit out of whack, and I can learn to bring it into whack. So this is numero uno. This is why I have created this workshop. We're going to dive deeper into this incredible human body that we live with, and I'm going to give you the upgrade. So the upgrade is actually learning how to work with your nervous system, de-excite and stabilize it through pranayama and kriya, some really gentle embodied practices from the Kundalini tradition that are going to help you feel more regulated and grounded at home and in your body immediately. Right? You're going to feel the effects of the practice. We're going to do a practice together and you're going to feel it immediately. And then I'm going to break down these tools and techniques so that you feel comfortable enough to keep practicing them on your own. And then if you're a teacher or a counselor or health practitioner and you want to share this with your students or clients, that you can then do that, right? But we have to learn them for ourselves first, get into it first, but then you'll have that breakdown. You'll understand why these techniques work on a deeper level. And I'll give you like how to weave it into your practice and your teaching so that you can share it, right? Where it starts with the individual and then we're able to ripple it out, because I want this stuff to help more people. It's my intention with all of this that I do and that I share to have a higher impact, because just hanging on to it for myself and for the few people that I work with is not enough. More of us need these teachings. More of us need these practices. So I want you to send it out in the world if you feel called. If not, just keep it to yourself. It'll ripple out on a more subtle level. Because this is the kind of work that supports everything else in your life, your clarity, your relationships, your sense of purpose. Because it meets you at the level that you're at, and change truly starts to happen in the body. So if you feel called, I'd love to have you join us for the workshop. And if now is not the right time, that's okay too. Sometimes just hearing this kind of message is the first step. It's just an invitation to listen a little more deeply to what your body has been trying to tell you. Because you don't have to become someone new. You just need the right support and the right tools and techniques to help you come back into alignment, to come back into your true nature and in alignment with who you already are. You don't need to chase these external things. You are whole and complete just where you are. And I'm excited to share this stuff with you. I have never publicly shared these deep teachings and how to actually break it down. And I'm excited to do it. So if you want to join, we'd love to have you. What you can do is just DM me that you're interested in joining the Nervous System Mastery Workshop. It's going to be February 21st. It'll be about a 2-hour workshop. I just DM me that you want to come and I will send you the link to sign up, and I will also pop the link into the description of this episode for you. And if you like this episode, subscribe and practice with me. Let's move with your energy, not against it. Until next time, stay connected to your breath, your body, and your own inner wisdom. Namaste.